Hi everyone. Hello. Welcome yet again to our third session of this Study Abroad Virtual Fair. My name is Eboluwa from Nexi Concept Limited, and if you're just seeing me for the first time, hello. A few hours ago, we concluded our second session, and now we're here again to dive into all the details that you need to know about studying in the USA and Canada. So I'm going to be your moderator for today, and I just want you to be rest assured that you're going to have all your questions answered because we have amazing people set to present and provide us with relevant information about studying in the USA as well as Canada. So sit back, relax as I take you through our outline for today. So on the agenda, we have first off an introduction of NEXI, and then we'll be taking a representative from Jessup University, and then we'll move over to talk about studying in Canada. So I'll just go over the timelines for you. So we've started already with the introduction, and next, in about 10 minutes time, we would be having our rep from Jessup University come and tell us all the details we need to know about studying in the USA, as well as studying at Jessup University. So you do not want to miss this session at all. Then after 30 minutes, we would move over to discuss studying in Canada, the application requirements, visa requirements, the procedures, the finances, every single thing you need to know will be covered in this session. And we'll take this session by 5:40 p.m. WAT and 4:40 p.m. GMT. Then after we're done laying the foundations of studying in Canada, we'll then move on to do a comparison between Canada and the USA. I mean, these are very popular North America destinations, and I'm sure that there's a lot that you would want to learn in this session. After the comparison, they will move over to answering all the questions that you have. So we'll be doing a Q&A session that is going to be very engaging and very insightful. So all the questions that you would have, please drop them in the chat box and be rest assured that we'll be able to answer everything. And then we'll wrap up this event. Okay, so now we'll do an introduction of Nexi Concept Limited. When you think Nexi, you're thinking about your #1 trusted study abroad agency in Nigeria, and I dare say in Ghana. So who is Nexi Concept, and what do we do? We've been in existence for well over 11 years now, as we were founded in 2013. And the main aim of Nexi Concept Limited is to assist African students, such as Nigerians and Ghanaians, to attain international degrees. So if you're looking at studying abroad in countries such as the UK, the US, Australia, Ireland, Europe, and many, many more countries, then Nexi Concept Limited is your surest plug. We can boast of over 6,500 satisfied clients, and we're very, very certain that you in this webinar today would be an addition to that number. So we're looking at, expanding our base of satisfied clients, and we have all the services in place and all the expertise in place to assist with this, okay? So when you think Nexi, you think of your #1 trusted and tested study abroad agency. Over our 11 years, we've been able to establish presence in Nigeria and in Ghana. So we're currently located in Lagos. You can see a nice picture there of our headquarters in Lagos. You can find us in Ikeja, #7 Alabi Street, off Toyin, Ikeja, Lagos. We're also located in Abuja. You can find us at Suite B04 VGI Center, opposite Dan Manor Filling Station in Uye. Then if you're in Port Harcourt or it's Environs, you can come over and stop by at our office at plot F4A Sani Abacha, opposite Bougainvillea Hotels in GRA Phase 3. And if you're in Accra, because we know that we have Ghanaians joining this webinar, we have you covered. You can always come into our office at #13 Dr. Esther Oklo Street in Osu. So if you're located close to any of these places, feel free to walk in and our counselors will be more than happy to take your inquiries and to see you, okay? All right, so who do we have set for this session? You have myself as the moderator. My name is Ebolu Akinola, and I'm currently the Admin and Liaison Officer at Nexi Concept Limited. We also have a representative from Jessup University in person of John Evans. He's going to be taking us through what it takes to study in the United States as well as in Jessup University. Then we have someone in-house with a lot of expertise and knowledge, Happiness. She is a senior student recruitment advisor, and she's the one that is going to take us on, studying in Canada and everything that it entails. So you don't want to miss any session. Every single part of this webinar has been curated to provide you with the information that you need to be able to make an informed decision on your next steps for studying abroad. So we move on now. Again, I cannot emphasize this enough. Every single session is important. Take this as a tip from me. Every single part of this session is so important for you because you can learn about exclusive offers. I know finances is such a big deal for a lot of us, so it's key that we stay tuned to learn about the scholarships available, the discounts, the financial breakdown and requirements about studying in the United States and in Canada. You also get the opportunity to ask questions and get them answered in real time, okay? There's not going to be any delay at all. If you have any question, you do have to drop it in the chat and then we would attend to them as soon as possible. And then you get to gain insights on navigating the study abroad process. So everything that you need to know about studying abroad and the best way to maximize your experience, you get all this and more in this session. So it promises to be a very, very, very power-packed and information-packed and content-packed and insight-packed session. So you want to stay tuned, okay? All right, so without further ado, we're going to begin this session now. Please, I want you to take down your questions and drop them in the chat. We're going to kick off with a representative from Jessup University in person of John. I just want to confirm, John, can you hear me? We're about to begin.
I can hear you and I can see you. Good morning.
Okay, great. I can see you too. Hello, John. So we're going to start off with your presentation. And at this point, I think I'm going to hand over the mic to you. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Eben. And good afternoon, everybody. And greetings from the United States. I'm John Evans. I'll be your presenter today, and I'll be introducing information about Jessup University based in California. Before I do that, I'm just going to give you a brief introduction about my background. I've been involved in international education for 30 years now. I'm actually originally from the UK, but like millions of people, I came to the US as an immigrant about 24 years ago now. So again, I've helped thousands of students from many countries around the world. I've been to Nigeria many times, so I understand the challenges and apprehensions. But hopefully, through the session today, I can allay many of your fears and really help you understand, the magnitude of the opportunity that the US offers to students from West Africa. So first of all, before I get into the presentation on Jessup, I just want to make a few comments about, studying in the USA and why students come to the USA for higher education. So today, the USA is the #1 destination for international students. We have over 1 million international students in this country, and it's projected that by the end of this decade, the number of international students could be as high as 2.3 million students. So we expect tremendous growth as more and more students seek to study abroad to pursue their higher education. The great news today is that actually Nigeria is the 7th largest provider of international students. So while you might hear stories about it's impossible to get a visa for the USA, the numbers don't lie. And of course, Nigeria has a strong position and continues to send many students to our countries. And Ghana is also growing very fast as well. So now Ghana is in the top 20 as well. So why do students come to the US? Well, of course, they come because we have world-class universities 50 of the top 100 universities originate from the United States. And of course, you will have heard of Harvard, Stanford, but we have many, many great universities in this country. Of course, we're also the largest economy in the world. We have many of the biggest and best companies, particularly in areas like technology. And we also have very low unemployment. So again, many international students have come here and done fantastically well. I mean, one example that's obvious is Elon Musk. He came from South Africa to pursue higher education, and now he's built one of the biggest companies in the world. He's one of the biggest innovators. And of course, the United States is fortunate that he chose this destination to pursue higher education. Otherwise, some other country would have benefited from his genius mind. Of course, the US also rewards talent. So many students pursuing higher education in the US are given access to scholarships. And also we have a great culture as well. So really, America is the land of opportunity, and it's not beyond your reach. So now I'm going to quickly jump into my presentation session, and I'll be happy to answer any questions once the presentation is done. So I'm just going to switch to presenter mode here. So Jessup University offers you the chance to advance your education and career in Silicon Valley. And for those of you who don't know Silicon Valley, it's the birthplace of many of the biggest and most successful technology companies in the world. Can you confirm that you can see my first slide, work-based education?
Yes, we can see your slide.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So Jessup University was founded in 1939, and because of its location, its focus is very much on preparing candidates for future employment and careers. And to support that, 98.6% of our master's students are employed full or part-time while they are studying with us. So again, we offer some great opportunities, and you can see some of the companies at the bottom, what they're, including Bank of America, Oracle, and Facebook, that employ our students. So one of the great strengths of our university is our connection with industry. So many of our faculty teaching the master's programs and bachelor's programs have come from industry, have come from Ivy League universities, and now are bringing that expertise to our faculty, to our campus and to our students. So you can see that some of the companies there that faculty either are working in currently or have worked in include Google, IBM, YouTube, Hewlett-Packard, to name a few. Intel's another one. And also, they've graduated from some of the top universities in the country, including Stanford, Berkeley, and MIT, and of course, Harvard as well. So another great strength of our university is our connection to industry, and no connection is greater than Mr. Pat Gelsinger, who is the CEO of Intel. For those of you who don't know, Intel is the producer of microchips and one of the most important companies, I would say, in the world today. He was previously the CEO of VMware and EMC Squared, but today Mr. Gelsinger is a member of the board of Jessup University. He's our single largest donor, and he also teaches on campus as well on occasion. So it's a fantastic connection to industry. In terms of the top employers, so currently 25% of our students at graduate level are employed by the following companies: Apple, Google, and NVIDIA. And these are major companies that we'll all be familiar with, and they have so much opportunity in terms of jobs and right now, because there's only about 65,000 work visas available. So these companies actually hire students as interns on F1 visas and reward them very well because they need the talent. Excuse me one moment, my door keeps ringing. Well, I'm in a meeting. Thank you. Thank you. That's okay. Thanks. My apologies. So, as I mentioned, these are the top companies that hire students, and again, they do that because they have great opportunities, and they don't have enough talent. So, international students bring the necessary talent to these companies and are rewarded very well. Here are some of the other employers that hire Jessup students as well. Tesla, Walmart, Cisco, to name a few. And here is a chart of what our students are earning. So this is the graduate students. So typically, because of the nature of our curriculum, it's work-based learning. It means that students really need to be working during the program in order to be able to complete our assessments and apply what they've learned to specific projects. So the average salary is about $100,000 a year, and 78% of our students are earning over $100,000 a year during their studies. We actually have a student working at Google from Nepal today, and she is earning $900,000 per year. So these companies offer phenomenal compensation, benefits, incentives, and our students do fantastically well. So here is an example of our great faculty. So Professor Paul Robbins is the program chair for Digital Communications, Art and Design. And Mr. Robbins, he was a winner of Emmy Awards. So these are the TV equivalent of the Oscars. He's hosted programs on the Discovery Channel, and he's also been an anchor on Fox News, which is really a globally distributed cable channel. And again, he has helped many students, enter the industry, leveraging his connections as well. So Jessup University today is also really has a vastly growing reputation. We're ranked as the third fastest growing university in the United States today, and also the third for top student housing by the Chronicle of Higher Education, which is a very respected publication in the US. We have a very diverse population across our two campuses, and on our Rocklin campus, which is where the undergraduate programs are delivered, 75% of our students are American females. And again, this includes 12% international students from 48 countries. So we have a very diverse international student population. It's not dominated by India or China, any particular country. It's a very nice broad range of students. So in terms of campus locations, as I mentioned, we do have two campuses. One is in Rocklin, which is the state capital of California, and the other one is in San Jose, which is Silicon Valley. And of course, California is the most attractive destination for international students. It also, the size of California in terms of economically is larger than most countries, including Nigeria's GDP. And again, it's driven by tourism and commerce. So you've got famous cities like San Francisco, Napa Valley, where they make the wine, Los Angeles, which is the movie capital of the world. And then, of course, you've got Silicon Valley, which is the center of technology on this earth. And you can see at the map on the bottom right there, you'll see just some of the companies that that surround Jessup University, and some of the great universities as well. that exist in that area. So it's a really, really thriving part of the country. So the Silicon Valley campus is located in the famous Santana Row. And so this is where all of the high-end shops and restaurants are in San Jose, and we're directly across the street. So it wouldn't be unusual to see a very renowned technology CEO, for example, Elon Musk, eating his lunch in the area, and of course, these people are walking past the Jessup campus every day. In fact, Jessup has existed in Silicon Valley longer than all of these companies as well. So again, it's very, very well known in the area. One of the flagship programs of our university is the Masters in Computer Science. And again, the curriculum on this program is updated every year to ensure it continues to align with the needs of employers. And based on the nature of the program, I mean, in the US, most masters are 2 years because generally people are working full time in the US while they're pursuing their masters. So the classes are at weekends. So, of course, that gives the maximum flexibility for students who are able to work full time while they are pursuing their education. We have 6 start dates per year. So we have start dates every other 2 months. So we have in January, March, May, July, August, and October. As I mentioned before, the assessment is work-based, so that's why the majority of our students are working full-time. And our tuition at graduate level is very affordable. So it's about half of the price of an average master's in the US. And one of the reasons that our tuition is low, it's not because of the quality, it's because we are seeking to build our international population further. So we have lowered the tuition to make that accessible to international students. In terms of the curriculum, as I mentioned, it's updated on an annual basis and really cutting edge curriculum because many of our faculty are industry experts. So, in areas like AI, our curriculum is probably among the most advanced in the country. But some of the subject areas that you would pursue include data science, software development, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, data analytics. All of these are highly demanded areas of skill and very, very well-paid careers. So again, because our focus is on employability, students at undergraduate and graduate are given opportunities to access internships throughout their studies. So this is one example where students from our digital media and music programs were invited to participate in the production of one of the Star Wars movies. So Skywalker Sound is a division of Lucasfilms who owns the Star Wars franchise. So you can see here, students were participating in recording the soundtrack, and the digital media students were working behind the scenes as well. But for a young student without any experience, this is an amazing opportunity to have on their resumes, and of course would certainly help them when they are in the employment market. Again, accommodation. So for accommodation, we do have accommodation on the Rockland campus where the undergraduate programs are delivered. Generally, universities in the US would require students at undergraduate level to live on campus, at least during the first year. And then for graduate, students would generally live off campus. So we don't have any accommodation in our Silicon Valley campus, but we do have negotiated rates with the local apartment communities, meaning that students can find very affordable accommodation. And we find that a lot of our students will share accommodation as well. That, of course, lowers the cost. But in terms of the undergraduate accommodation, it was ranked number 3 in terms of the country, and you can see why. The quality is exceptional, it's very spacious, and it's very safe. So in terms of our programs, we offer undergraduate and graduate degrees. The undergraduate programs that are offered, or the programs that are offered in the Rocklin campus, are listed on this slide. Some of the highlighted programs include aviation, computer science, biochemistry and biology, which are pre-medical subjects, mathematics, and theatre. And then at master's level on the Rocklin campus, we offer counseling, psychology, and education. Our Silicon Valley campus is purely graduate programs, and here is a picture of international students with Mr. Pat Gelsinger, the CEO of Intel, when he was on campus. So again, having access to somebody of that prominence in means that the students are having the opportunity really to learn from the biggest and the best in industry. And here you can see on our Silicon Valley campus, we have a master's in computer science, which is STEM designated. That means that when you graduate, you can stay up to 3 years in the United States to work full time. And with the master's in computer science, we have the AI and machine learning concentration. We have a soon to be launched master's in business analytics, which is also STEM certified. And then we also have non-STEM programs in MBA and accountancy, but we are currently converting those to STEM programs, meaning that students that are studying those programs would have the opportunity to remain on campus, remain in the US for a longer period of time to work. We do offer scholarships at undergraduate level. They range from a few $1,000s to full ride scholarships, and typically they're tied to academic merit, sporting merit, or artistic merit. And you're invited to apply for undergraduate scholarships once you receive an offer. In terms of the cost of attendance, undergraduate before scholarship, it's $36,000 per year. Now, of course, that's a lot of money in anyone's world, but again, that's about the average in California. And but again, students do have the opportunity to earn scholarships. So with the additional student fees, room and board, and insurance, the annual cost of attendance is $53,000. For graduate level, it's much lower. Our tuition is only $12,500 per year, which is probably about 50% of the cost of an average master's. So it's a very, very competitive rate. With the room and board and other living costs, the annual cost of attendance is less than $30,000 per year. And bear in mind that most of our graduate students are working full-time within about 6 months and earning over $100,000 a year, which allows them to easily offset that cost. For those students that require additional financing, we are also one of only about 300 universities in the US to be approved for Empower Financing International Student Loans. These loans are future potential loans, so Empower is calculating that students that attend the schools on their approved list will have the financial means and ability to pay off the loans because they're going to earn very good salaries. So these loans do not require collateral or a co-signer. You can loan up to $50,000 per year or $100,000 maximum over 2 years. That can cover tuition, housing, meals, and other school expenses. And there's no prepayment penalty. In terms of admissions, for undergraduate, we have 2 starts per year in January and August, the spring and fall. We require the equivalent of a 2.5 GPA or above. And of course, we would want to see the scratch card for West African students. We require a 6-band IELTS, but that's waived for students from Nigeria and Ghana because we classified you as a English-speaking country, of course. And then you would need to show the necessary financial funds that would allow us to issue your I-20 document so you can apply for the visa. For graduate, we have 6 start dates per year. We require an accredited bachelor's degree with a 2.7 GPA or above. Typically, that's a 2nd-class honors or above in terms of converting standards. We don't require 6-band IELTS again for West Africa, so that's waived. But we do require you to show funds of 28,500. So whether that's personal sponsorship or an Empower loan, we would want to see that you have that amount available. For the MBA, we also require that students have taken courses in accounting, statistics, and economics. And for Masters in Computer Science, we will accept non-CS students, but we do require that you have proficiency in Python and Java, meaning that you've taken courses in those subject areas. And we do get MBA students or business students many times converting to the computer science masters by taking those courses. So in terms of the documents to apply, it's an online application process. So you're required to complete the application online, or NextG will complete that on your behalf. We need your passport copy, high school certificates and transcripts, a 500-word essay or statement of purpose, and your financial statements. And for graduate, we also need a resume as well. So it's very simple, straightforward. We charge a one-time $150 application fee, but we do not require a tuition deposit like many universities. So that means that once you've paid that fee, you will get your offer of admission and you will get your I-20 document to apply for the visa as well.
So the next question is by Chinedu, and he's asking, please, what is your initial deposit and your average tuition?
Well, as I mentioned, the application fee is $150. Well, it's a processing fee. It's $150. And that means that there is no tuition deposit required until you are approved for a visa. Many universities will charge like an I-20 fee or a tuition deposit to issue the I-20. We do not. And what was the second part of that question? Sorry.
Yeah, he just asked about the deposit as well as the tuition.
Right. So the tuition cost is on the screen. So for graduate, it's 3 semesters per year. So it's just over $4,000 per semester, which is highly competitive. The average graduate degree in the US is closer to $50,000 or $25,000 per year.
Okay, so Jessop's tuition is actually very competitive and more on the affordable side. So we have another question.
Bear in mind that Jessop is very unique in its connection with employers. It's not common that a university would have such strong links to industry and have one of the leaders of industry on their board.
Okay, thank you for that, John. So move over to we have a lot of questions coming in. Everyone, please keep your questions coming in so that John can answer them. Okay, so we have a compliment for the university here saying Jessop's work-based curriculum is very, very attractive. Yes, I agree to that as well. Thank you for that comment. Rabiat has a question and she wants to know if the school has civil engineering for graduate studies, and does the school also accept HND for graduate studies in the same civil engineering, and will the GRE be required? So she has 3 questions in one.
So engineering I've already addressed. We don't. Yeah, so engineering I've already addressed it. We don't have engineering. The HND would not be sufficient to get into a graduate program because it's only it's not directly equivalent to a US bachelor's. It's of course equivalent to about 2/3 of a UK degree, which would be equivalent. So the student would need to do some kind of top-up degree or bridge degree in order to be able to progress to a US master's. And the question was about GRE as well.
For the GRE.
Yeah, we do not require GRE or GMAT. A lot of universities waived that requirement during the pandemic because it was impossible to take the tests, and most have not reintroduced it since, including Jessop.
Okay. So Rabiat, I hope we've been able to answer your question. Next on the list, we have Happiness. She's asking if the university accepts unofficial transcript for graduate applications.
when she says an unofficial transcript, can you provide some more clarity around what that means? I mean, we don't require a foreign transcript evaluation. We do that conversion in-house, but of course we want to see something official from the institution they attended to
Yeah.
confirm that they have, completed that program.
Okay, so most times here in Nigeria, at least, we get either an official transcript or an unofficial transcript. So most times, the unofficial transcript is a student's copy. That one isn't
Yeah, we
being
can use the
issued.
student's copy. That's fine.
Okay, all right, then that's the question that she was asking. So
Yeah.
Happiness, you've
Thanks for
gotten
the
an answer
clarity.
to your question. Yeah, no problem. So this is another question here. Does the university offer masters in biomedical engineering? I feel like you've answered that already. There are
Yeah.
no engineering courses at JESUP for postgraduates. Okay, so the next question here, do we have, or does the university have programs for vocational students? Or what are the chances for vocational students in the US?
Well, vocational education is a different path, and typically vocational studies are completed at career colleges rather than a university, which is more academic. So the answer is no. And also,
Okay.
you can't get an F1 visa for a vocational program.
All right, then. Thank you. So next question here. So someone wants to know, once they're done with the program from the university, what happens? Do they retain a job, or what are the next steps basically after completing your postgraduate or undergraduate program?
So under the F1 rules, F1 student visa rules in the US, the student has opportunities to work during and upon completion of their studies. So typically, that means that during their studies, it's called curricular practical training. So they need to be authorized by the school, and it would need to be relevant to their studies. So, for example, it's not like somebody would get CPT to work at McDonald's. They might get CPT to work in a leadership or management position at McDonald's, at corporate HQ, but not your kind of typical part-time work that many students seem to, consider during their program. And of course, with our program, CPT, that's why students are working full-time in companies, because it's relevant to their studies. And then when a student has finished their studies, they can continue with school authorization onto optional practical training. That can give the student an additional 12 to 36 months stay in the US for employment purposes. And again, whether it's 12 months or 36 months is dependent on whether it's a STEM certified degree or not. So, for example, computer science and business analytics are STEM certified at JESUP. The MBA is not. So again, so really, again, OPT needs to be approved by the school, but it really means that you could work anywhere in the United States as long as you're authorized by the school and you found the position. And most of our students on CPT would generally continue with the same employer to OPT as well, because they have so many job openings in the Silicon Valley area.
Okay, thank you for that. We have a lot of questions actually, so I'll try my best to be able to run through. So the next question is, can someone without a computer science background apply for the Masters in Computer Science?
Yes, as I mentioned, we will accept students from non-computer science backgrounds, but we would expect that they have taken courses in Python and Java. So you don't need to have done a degree, but we'd need evidence that you had knowledge of those subjects. So you'd be required to take courses. And when you arrive on campus, you will be tested in those subject areas. And if you fail to pass that test, then we would put you through an additional course at a cost of $150 to bring you up to that standard. So it doesn't mean that we would kick you out of the course. It means that we would find a way to bridge your knowledge so you can so you're able to compete with the demands of that course.
Okay, I'd like to request that you please go to the slide that lists out the postgraduate programs available? Because in the chat box we have some questions on, do we
I'm
have
just going to
international
leave this slide on, okay?
Yeah, so please let's take a look at this slide that's on the screen to see the master's programs available. So to answer some of the questions, no, the university doesn't have a master's in international relations, and the university also doesn't have a master's in international business law. Okay, so the next question is about English language proficiency. So someone is asking if the English language test can be waived.
So the English language test, well, I did advise that for students from West Africa, it is waived because we consider you an English-speaking country. Countries like China or India or Pakistan, we don't consider them English-speaking countries or first English-speaking countries, so we require them to take a test. But in Nigeria and Ghana, you're good to go.
Okay, thank you for that. And just to answer a follow-up question, someone is asking if they can get into the university without IELTS. So like John just said, if you're a Nigerian or a Ghanaian, you're good to go. And I'm assuming that a lot of these questions are just coming in because a couple people just joined, so they most likely missed out that part of the presentation. But thank you everyone for your questions. I'll take the final question now. It says, what is the modality to get a scholarship for an MBA course?
We don't offer scholarships at graduate because we discounted the rates very heavily. As I explained, our master's programs are about 50% of the average cost of a master's in the US. So, and of course, most of our students are working full-time within 6 months as well. So for those are two very good reasons why we don't offer scholarships.
Okay, thank you so much, John, for this session and also taking time to answer everyone's questions. This was indeed a very insightful one, and I'm sure that most people have been able to get answers to their questions. So a very big thank you to you for doing a detailed presentation and also being able to explain the requirements for studying in the US as well as that for Jessup University.
No problem. Thank you for hosting this session, and it was great to see so many students in attendance as well. So I wish everybody the best of luck, and hopefully we'll be welcoming you on to the campus to sometime in the near future.
Yes, most definitely. Thank you so much for your time. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, so hi everyone again. So far we've had an amazing time with John from Jessup University, and we'll be moving on to the next part of our presentation for today, and that would be talking on studying in Canada. So I'm going to invite our next speaker in person of Happiness to take us through this session. So please, if you have any other questions, feel free to drop them in the chat box. We're here and we're able to respond to you. And you can also do well to fill the link that was shared in the chat, just fill in your details so that we can reach out to you as soon as possible.
Okay, you people, we're here now for Canada. We've learned a lot from John, and over to Canada. We know quite all right that Canada share a boundary with the US. Canada and US are more or less brothers and sisters. Yeah. Our outline for today isn't enormous. However, I know you've been listening for quite a while now. I want to applaud every one of us to sit tight. We're actually approaching the peak of the event, and then finally we'll be taking off from here. If you have more questions from the US presentation done by Mr. John, you could kindly ask them after the Canada presentation. So on my presentation slide, we're going to be taking off from the introduction, and then we'll also know why one has to study in Canada. What are the requirements needed for both admissions and visa processing in Canada? The available programs and courses in Canada, the application processes for admission and visa, And then we're also going to look at the finance breakdown, job opportunities, particularly for students. And then we're also going to look at the new immigration policies and advice for prospective students like us. Let's take it up from the introduction. Okay, as we all know, like I said earlier, Canada shares a border with the US. Canada is a country located in North America, just like the US. And then it borders the Atlantic Ocean in the east part, and then Pacific Ocean in the west, and then Arctic Ocean to the north. And then generally, Canada is known as the largest country in the world after Russia. But this is actually in terms of area or landmass. Concerning the government of Canada, it runs a parliamentary democracy and also a federation and a constitutional monarchy. Canada is known as a multicultural society. This is because it harbors people from diverse society and country. The national capital of Canada is Ottawa, and Ottawa happens to be the fourth largest city in Canada. Canada has two official languages, which are the French and English. Why would you want to study in Canada? There are different reasons why every one of us who is anticipating to study in Canada should do so. Ranging from the high standard of living, Canada is actually known for having a high standard of living, to high quality education options, to flexible education system, diverse and inclusive environments. There are a lot of weathers in Canada. The spring, you have to experience the summer, you have to experience the autumn, you know. Some countries do not have the privilege of experiencing diverse weather conditions. But in Canada, you could have about 4 or 5 of them. So if you do not like a very cold environment like it were in Saskatchewan, you can enjoy a better atmosphere at Ontario. Not every province in Canada that is very cold. Canada has lots of universities in the world, and this is one of the reasons why you should study in Canada. You can also enjoy access to scholarships and better job opportunities in Canada. Another reason why you should choose Canada as your study destination. There is an opportunity for everyone to stay after studies or after graduation in Canada. One of the most attractive reason or one of the best reasons why one should study in Canada. And then if you're from a French-speaking country or English-speaking country, Canada would actually absorb you because it has 2 official languages. With these reasons, I think you've seen enough or you've heard enough reasons why you should actually study in Canada. So whether you want a better standard of living, you want scholarship, you want to experience different weathers, you want better education, Canada has all this encompassed in one. Talking about the available programs in Canada, what are they? Generally, the courses available in Canada are too numerous to mention, but the popular ones are AI and machine learning, social work, nursing, accountancy, computer science, cybersecurity. We have engineering, lots of engineering courses are available in Canada. We have data science, we have business analytics, we have sociology, psychology, public health. Now, these programs are categorized
Hello, everyone. Apologies for the break in transmission. Happiness will be joining shortly. She had a bit of network issue that made her to disconnect.
Okay, I've done that. Okay. Sorry, guys, I had a bit of network issue from my end. I'm sorry, please. All right, so talking about the available programs in Canada. So the first here is an undergraduate program, which is done by students who are less than 18, and also students who do not have the foundation or basics for some courses. Now, going by the students whose age are not up to 18, when a student is less than 18, you are inadmissible to universities. So invariably, you wouldn't be able to go for a bachelor's degree. So the best program for such students would be an undergraduate diploma. And also, when a student wants to go for courses like nursing, the student wouldn't be admitted to do such in a university through bachelor's degree. The student would have to start with an undergraduate diploma. So if you have anyone, or if you are a student who is less than 18 years, or you're a student who wishes to go for courses like nursing, medicine in Canada, you can't go straight to bachelor's degree. You have to pass through diploma, right? And then for diploma courses, it's typically for 1 to 2 years. It depends on the school. And then the average fee for undergraduate diploma programs in Canada is 16,500 Canadian dollars. There are just a couple of few that are way way below this amount, and then others above it. But we have a lot more that are within 16,000 to 16,500 Canadian dollars. After the undergraduate program, next on my list here is the bachelor's degree. So when a student is above 18 years, or when a student has an ordinary national diploma from a reputable organization, the student is eligible to go for bachelor's degree. And also for some adults who already possess a degree, perhaps you want to start all over, you are also admissible to study bachelor's degree in Canada. However, bachelor's degree here is of 4 years. You have to study for 4 years if you wish to do bachelor's degree in Canada. And the average school fees for bachelor's degree in Canada is 20,000 Canadian dollars. We have some that are above this amount and just a few of them below this amount, but generally it is within 20,000 Canadian dollars. Then there is postgraduate diploma. Postgraduate diploma is typically for students whose CGPA isn't enough for a direct master's degree program. If you wish to go for master's degree in future, and then you have third class or a very poor 2-2, you would have to go for a postgraduate diploma. Also, postgraduate diploma is for students that want to change their course. For instance, you studied marketing and then you want to go for perhaps a tech course. You can go for a direct master's program in a tech course because you do not have the basic knowledge. So you can go for a postgraduate diploma and before you go or before you enroll for the master's program. So postgraduate diplomas in Canada is within 1 to 2 years. It also depends on the school. For some schools, it is 1 year, and it is typical of Canada to have 1-year programs for 8 months, and then 2 years program for 16 months. So the fee for most postgraduate diploma, the average fee for most postgraduate diploma is 18,000 Canadian dollars. One good thing about Canada is that this money is not paid instantly, or it's not paid at once. It's paid on 2 installments. The first installment is for the first semester, and then the second is for the second semester. So each of these fees I'm mentioning here is not like you're going to pay them once, or you're going to pay it once rather. You have to divide it into 2. Pay one before you get your letter of acceptance, and then the other will pay in the following semester. All right, so we also have postgraduate certificates. For the postgraduate certificate, it's typically for those that want to up their skills, those looking for an opportunity to get a better position in their organization, or those that want to align their career to their discipline, right? When you find yourself within one of these, then postgraduate certificate is for you. Postgraduate certificates tend to be a bit affordable, but on the average, it is 16,000 Canadian dollars. We have some that goes for 12,000 Canadian dollars, but on the average, most are 16,000 Canadian dollars. And postgraduate certificate programs in Canada last either for 1 year or for 2 years as well. And just like postgraduate diploma, 1 year of postgraduate certificates lasts for 8 months, and 2 years of postgraduate certificate lasts for 18 months, 16 months rather. And then over to master's degree. Now, master's degree in Canada, you need to be a mastery of whatever you did on your undergraduate program for you to be able to actually go for master's program. What I mean is your experience counts here for you to be eligible, and also your CGPA. For most schools in Canada, they accept 2-1 and then first class. We have just few schools in Canada that would allow you go for master's program if you have 2-2. And then these schools would only admit you for business-related courses like MBA, business management, and then business administration, right? So in Canada, master's program tends to be a little bit higher than postgraduate diploma and postgraduate certificates in terms of its fee, as it ranges from 18,000 to 20,000 Canadian dollars. And most master's program in Canada last for 2 years. So master's program in Canada is more theoretical, while postgraduate diploma and postgraduate certificates are more practical, right? And then you tend to have a co-op when you go for some courses though, when you go for postgraduate diploma or postgraduate certificates in Canada. So these are the programs available. You have a lot of them to pick from. So if your CGPA isn't high, you can opt for postgraduate diploma, or you go for, or if you're looking to up your skills or to upgrade in your career, you can go for postgraduate certificate. But if you want to go for, you're a researcher, or you work in academia, or you want to be a lecturer, you can go for master's degree. Also, even if you're not any of these and your CGPA is up to 2.1 to first class, you can comfortably apply for masters. Otherwise, if you have 2.2, you can go for business administration or business management courses. Yeah. Evan, kindly take me to the next slide. Now, what are the requirements needed for an application to be made in the schools in Canada? First is an updated passport. When I say updated passport, what I mean is a passport that isn't expired, a current passport, a passport that has more than 6 months, or that is more than 6 months into expiration. So we need the data page of your international passport for this to be made. And the passport has to be a current one. Expired passports are not allowed. Then there is proof of proficiency. So for proof of proficiency, WAEC could be substituted for IELTS for most schools, though there are a few schools that would always request for IELTS, even if you have WAEC and then you're from English-speaking country like Nigeria. But have it at the back of your mind that it's either WAEC or IELTS. Now, there are schools that accept WAEC, but there are schools that would never accept IELTS, even if you have your letter of proficiency from your university. Sorry, police certificate is not included here. And then your transcript. So for transcripts, most schools would allow you to make applications with unofficial transcripts, not the one written student copy. Most schools wouldn't accept the one written student copy. If you can get a transcript from your school and it is not watermarked student copy, schools in Canada would accept it. But when it is written student copy, most schools wouldn't accept it, even if it's coming from you. So if you want to request for your transcript, I would advise you get a transcript that isn't watermarked student copy. Otherwise, you have to officially email the transcript to the school. And then you have to also get your degree certificate and any other certificate that is related to the course you're going for, right? So you have to get your degree certificate aside the transcripts. Some courses will require standardized tests like GRE, like the GMAT, SAT, ACT. For some programs though, basically some schools will ask this for engineering courses and then business related courses, while others waive it, they do not really mind. And then we also have supplementary application materials like creating a portfolio where you'll be asked to write an essay aside your statement of purpose, or you'll be asked to download or upload your past project or any writing you have made in the past. All right, so another document needed for admission in Canada is your CV. And your CV has to be an academic CV. Here, I mean, your CV has to, your CV should come with your name boldly written at the utmost part of the document, and then your email address, your phone number, and your house address should follow suit. And then after that, you have to itemize chronologically in such a way that one leads to the other. When you went to school, the year and the date, and then when you graduated, and the certificate you obtained, right from the current discipline or degree you've earned to the list, which happens to be the WAEC. Same is applicable to your job. You also have to state all the necessary job you've done. There shouldn't be so there shouldn't be any gaps in between. And then if you volunteered for jobs in the past, you also have to include that. It's very, very important, right? And you should also have a professional and academic reference. Here, 2 references are needed. Professional reference is a reference from your place of work, while an academic reference is a reference from your school. So it's either you get a hard copy of the reference, and this hard copy should be on a letter-headed paper, having the name of the institution, and then the address, the phone number, and the designation of whoever your referee or your recommender is. So if it's ought to be uploaded, it's going to be uploaded. Otherwise, one has to extract those details of your referees and then impute them on the system. Then another is your statement of purpose, otherwise known as a personal statement. So for this, you have to write everything about your past education and then your work. The statement of purpose is more detailed than the CV. So every information you itemized on the CV is elaborated on the statement of purpose or personal letter. Also on the statement of purpose, you have to state the reason why you chose the course and then what the course will do for you and what you will do with the course after graduation. Also include why you have chosen to study in that school and why you have chosen to study in Canada, right? And then if there is a discrepancy between your documents, your educational documents or any of your affirmation documents with your passport, you have to swear, there should be an affidavit of a change of name, especially for those who are married. After marriage, lots of women tend to change their name. So if the name on any of your documents does not correspond with what you have on your international passport, you have to get an affidavit of a change of name and a marriage certificate. And also for some men or for some male students who also have a different name attached to perhaps any of their documents other than the way it is on the passport, you have to also get an affidavit of a change of name. Same thing is applicable to your date of birth. If the date of birth on your transcript or on your or the one on your WAEC does not align with the one on the passport, you need to get an affidavit of correction, right? So for the visa, what are the requirements needed for a successful visa application? They are not far-fetched from what we're seeing on the screen here. First, you need to be admitted to a reputable institution that has designated learning institution, that is DLI, right? And then when you're admitted, you have to pay your tuition deposit. You need the letter of acceptance and then the receipt of your tuition deposit for you to make your visa application. And secondly, if you gain admission for a postgraduate diploma, undergraduate diploma, bachelor's degree, or postgraduate certificate, you would need a PAL. You need a provincial attestation letter from your institution. Only master's students are excluded from this. From the new policy, when a student isn't going for master's degree, aside your acceptance letter or your offer letter, you would need a provincial attestation letter to apply for your visa, right? Another thing you should have at the back of your mind is the living expense. You should have enough funds for your living expense. This fund includes both your living expense, the balance of your tuition, and even your transport fare or your flight fare, right, back home. So put this together, or we'll have a living expense of 20,635 Canadian dollars. This is undisputed. In as much as you're studying in any province in Canada, aside Quebec, Quebec has living expense of 15,000 Canadian dollars, but every province in Canada has 20,635 Canadian dollars. So you have to add this to the balance of your tuition. So if your tuition were to be $20,000 and then you made part payment of 10,000 Canadian dollars, you have to add a balance of 10,000 Canadian dollars to the 20,000, giving you a total of 30,635 Canadian dollars. And then we'll convert that to Naira. Whatever it gives you, you need to show that you have this amount of money for a minimum of 4 months or maximum of 6 months on your bank account. Primarily, this is one of the means by which you can actually account for your proof of funds. There are other ones, okay? And also, you need to actually show that you have home ties. Showing home ties could be from your job. It could be from properties you have here in Nigeria. It could be from the business you run here in Nigeria. It could be from your family, friends, and relatives, okay? And then you would need a police clearance, but for police clearance, recently I learned it has been lifted. Police clearance are not needed again for visa, for the visa application, or sorry, for study application in Canada. I think that is just recent. All right. And then you would also need your medical reports from the IOM. So you would need your visa application isn't complete without the medical from the IOM. This is non-negotiable. So if your medical goes wrong, you have to undergo some treatment and then reapply. If you're cleared, then you will be taken. But if you're not cleared, you'll be asked to, in a subtle manner, to go back and then get yourself treated and then come back for another application, right? Then what follows after submission is your biometrics. So you're going for biometrics where you're capturing, your facial will be captured and also your fingerprints will be taken. Then your academic requirements like your transcript, your WAEC, your degree certificate will be added also to this application. And if peradventure you actually made the application with any of these standardized texts like SAT, GMAT, and the likes, you have to also provide them for the visa application. And then finally, you cannot submit your visa without a letter of explanation or a statement of purpose. So on the statement of purpose, the letter of explanation, it tells the visa officer whom you are, when you were born, the family you're born into, or the family you're birthed into, number of siblings you have, who your parents are, and then where you're from, your educational background, and then what you do, why you apply to the school, and then you're also going to tell them about your home ties, and you're also going to pledge you're coming back to Nigeria, and then your funding has to be explained, how you got your funding and how you're going to pay the balance, okay? So all these facts should be included on your letter of explanation because it avails you the opportunity, since you're not going to be there live for an interview. Every question you ought to answer during an interview, which Canada doesn't do, should be explained on your letter of explanation or statement of purpose. Yeah, so that is for the visa requirements and admission requirements for Canada. Now that I've known what it takes for the study application to go through and then the visa for the visa to be applied, let's take a look at the financial breakdown. If you arrive in Canada, how would your money be disbursed? Like what it takes for you to actually stay, how much it will cost you for you to live in Canada. So it is typical of some provinces to actually have lower accommodation than the others, okay? So provinces like Ontario, Vancouver, British Columbia, we know them as busy provinces that are densely populated, and then the cost of living are a bit higher in these provinces than others. So generally the accommodation in Canada ranges from 8,250 Canadian dollars to 10,000 Canadian dollars per year, right? So if you're going to get anything lesser or higher than this, it all depends on you. but generally you could get accommodation within this range. And also the health insurance for Canada, unlike the UK, you have to pay for your health insurance here, same time as you make your visa payments and application. But for Canada, your health insurance is paid while you are in Canada. And each year it will cost you 756 Canadian dollar only. So the health insurance for students studying in Canada, it will cost 756 Canadian dollar per year. And then for transportation, put together, whether you're taking train, you're doing taxi, or you're taking buses, it is between 1,000 to 1,500 Canadian dollar per year. Transportations in Canada are very, very affordable. And then food and other bills will take within or between 6,000 to 8,000 Canadian dollar per year. Say your utility bills, you know, gas, water, energy, food, okay? So it falls between 6,000 to 8,000 Canadian dollars. So put this together, you would need a rough sum of, or an overall sum of 16,006 Canadian dollars to 20,256 Canadian dollars. If you are very economical, I wonder you might actually need less. And if you are a generous person to yourself, you might actually spend higher than this. But this is the average, right? And then from this part, you can see the living expenses, how it is being spread between the number of family members or dependents that would accompany the primary applicant to Canada. So if you're going alone to Canada, your living expense would be 20,635 Canadian dollar. That is one person. And now if it is you and your wife or you and your spouse, it will cost you 25,690 Canadian dollar. And if it is you, your spouse, and then your child or a child, it will cost you 31,583 Canadian dollars. And if it is for a family of 4, husband and wife and 2 children, it will cost you 38,346 Canadian dollars. And family of 5, spouse, husband and wife and 3 children, 43,493 Canadian dollars. Then for family of 6, 4 children, and then the husband and wife, it's going to cost you $49,051. And then family of 7, a couple and 5 children, it's going to cost you 54,611 Canadian dollars. And then if you have more than this number of family, right? Maybe you have more than 6, you have up to 6 children, kindly add 5,559 Canadian dollar to the last figure we have here. That would give you your living expense for the whole family. Okay, I wish to also tell you that this is just the living expense alone. So if you have paid for your tuition or you pay for part of your tuition fee, kindly add the balance of your tuition to this living expense, please. This isn't the only money you would need to show your proof of funds or to show for your proof of funds. Your proof of funds typically is the balance of your tuition and the living expense. So this is living expense alone. So because we have different school fees, I wouldn't be able to add this. But for living expense, it is static. It doesn't change. Is non-negotiable. So this is what it is. Aside Quebec that has living expense of 15,000 Canadian dollars, every other province has this amount. All right. Let's take the next slide, Evan. As a student working in Canada, what job opportunity awaits you? So for Canada, you can actually be studying and also work. You are allowed to work for 20 hours a week. And then that is during academic period or when school is in section. But during holiday, just the way they are now, they've embarked on summer break. You have all the time for yourself. So you can work as long as you want during summer holidays or any other holiday. In as much as school isn't in section or isn't on section rather, you can work as much as you want. But during academic session, you are restricted to only 20 hours per week. This is so because they want you to have time for your academics, which actually brought you to Canada. So these are the jobs available. We have the server or the bartender. So for a server or bartender in Canada, the least wage you receive is 11 Canadian dollars, but we know Canada to be a generous country. They love tip a lot. So if you find yourself under this kind of job, you should be able to amass something more than this, right? Because you'll be getting tips up and down. It's rare you serve anyone without getting a tip. Then another good job here is Uber, right? Or the Lyft driver. So here you earn about 14 Canadian dollars per hour. Then we also have the teacher's assistant. For those who would want to opt for graduate teacher's assistantship, you'll be earning a wage of 15.65 Canadian dollars. And those that want to take extra classes, you assist lecturers in taking extra classes like tutorials, you earn between 15 Canadian dollars to 20 Canadian dollars per hour. And then for freelancer, it could be researching or you're working in a lab as a freelancer, you'll be paid 25.60 Canadian dollars. And for those of you that want to babysit, you want to assist people who have more busy schedule, right? And then they have baby or animals to tend to, the hourly wage here is 14.67 Canadian dollars. Then we'll have the barrister. The barrister here isn't like the barrister we know in Nigeria, like a lawyer. So the barrister here is someone that mixes drinks. It could be tequila, it could be coffee, it could be creamy, it could be any kind of drink, okay? At times too, they do desserts, they prepare desserts and all whatnot. So people that find themselves under this category go home with a working sum of 11.41 Canadian dollar, and they are called barrister, okay? And then for people that like puppies, you like dogs or you like pets, and then you want to assist someone that has a dog, you would be paid 14.16 Canadian dollar hourly. And then for translator, perhaps you have knowledge of other languages or a language other than English language or any language you speak. Yeah, so you could actually make 21.16 Canadian dollar per hour. And then for retail worker work in shops. It could be supermarkets, it could be boutiques, So they make between 12.42 Canadian dollar to 50 Canadian dollar per hour. So aside this, these are the popular jobs available for students, but there are other jobs. If you're an IT personnel, there are jobs for you. If you're a caregiver, there are jobs for you. But for students, these are the jobs you can get easily, okay? And then these are the hourly wages attached to them, all right? Okay, Ebu, next slide, please. Okay, talking about the new policies, it's good. We actually know that there are new policies in Canada. These new policies brought a different wave to what we used to know, and then decisions to have been affected, right? It's good you know this policy, so because it's going to guide you on making a better decision for yourself. So here are the new immigration policies, right? So students are required to obtain a provisional attestation letter from their universities. So that these are students going for undergraduate diploma, going for bachelor's degree programs, going for postgraduate certificate and postgraduate diploma. So if you find yourself within these programs, when you're given an offer letter, without a provincial attestation letter, you won't be able to apply for your visa. Otherwise, you would be denied. So the only students excluded from this are the master's students. So for students, for an undergraduate diploma student, a bachelor's student, a graduate assistant, graduate diploma student, graduate certificate student, you would need a provincial attestation letter before you apply for your visa, courtesy of the new policy. Also, for dependents, Canada actually allows dependents. They will allow you go with your children, with your spouse. However, your spouse would get a spousal open work permit if your program is master's. If your partner isn't going for a master's degree program, you wouldn't get a spousal open work permit. You would only get a visit visa. Let me take this again. If you're going for if you're going for a postgraduate diploma or postgraduate certificate program, your spouse can only get a visit visa. The visit visa could be for 5 years or for 10 years, but you're not allowed to exceed 6 months at any entry. So if you have a 5 years visa for visitation, when you arrive Canada, you can only stay for 6 months and then return to your home country. After which you go back to Canada again and stay the next 6 months and then return. You can only get a spousal open work permit if your partner is going for a master's program, courtesy of the new policy. All right. Okay. And also, the other new policy that was introduced is the living expense. Initially, the living expense was 10,000 Canadian dollars. However, currently it has been upgraded to 20,635 Canadian dollars. It started in January. So if you wish to apply for your visa, your living expense henceforth is 20,635 Canadian dollars as against $10,000 it used to be. All right. And then finally, master's students are eligible for 3 years postgraduate work permits after graduation in Canada. If you study for master's after 2 years of graduation, you are eligible for 3 years postgraduate work permits. While students who studied any other program, be it bachelor's degree or undergraduate diploma or graduate certificate and graduate diploma, you are eligible for 1 year postgraduate work permits. I hope I'm clear. All right. Ebo, the next slide. So having known what it takes for you to study in Canada, now you've learned the basic requirements, stemming from the from the visa, from the study application to the visa. You've known all the requirements, and also you've seen the reason, or you've noted the reason why you should study in Canada. You've learned a lot about Canada, right? And then you've also understood that there is a program for everybody. Nobody is left out. It's either you go for undergraduate diploma, or you go for bachelor's degree, or you go for graduate certificates, graduate diploma, or master's program. There is always a program for you, all right? So now you've learned all these. I know we've been able to make you make a more solid decision if you've been confused in the past. Now I will want to take your questions. Perhaps there are some points you didn't understand, or you have some questions that you were actually envisaging I speak on, but it never came up. You could kindly ask those questions, please. All right. I would like to take questions here before we go. Okay. Please, can I apply for a master's in Canada after completing my postgraduate diploma or certificate here in Nigeria? Okay, I can see the question very well. Please, can I apply for a master's in Canada after completing my postgraduate diploma or certificate course? Yes. So for instance, if you studied history in your first degree, and then you wish to go for a master's degree in business analytics, and then you took a graduate diploma program in business analytics, you would be allowed to study masters directly, okay? However, if you go for graduate certificate course, you are inadmissible. Graduate certificate programs are not used for master's degree application. Diploma can go, but certificates are basically for career purposes, okay? Please, can I apply for a master's degree with my third class? Sadly, no. You can't apply for a master's degree with a third class. You would have to apply for a postgraduate diploma with your third class. Then when you perform better, you can use the graduate diploma in addition to your first degree and then apply for master's degree. Can undergraduate students go with dependents? Undergraduate students can actually go with dependents on visitation, right? Like if a student wishes to go for an undergraduate program, you can go with your parents or your siblings, all right? They'll be issued visit visas, okay? They will remain in Canada. I don't know if that answers your question. Can undergraduate students go with dependents? Okay. Oh, I've answered that, sorry. What program should HND holders apply for, and do they require grade? Okay, so HND students can apply for some master's program. Some schools would allow them, in as much as their CGPA is high. We have just few schools that would allow them. It is not typical of schools in Canada to accept HND students, but there are just few schools that might actually allow you if your CGPA is high, and then if you have good working experience, good number of working experience, okay? And then for grade, for some schools, grade is optional. Why some schools, grade is optional, it's mandatory. Now, it also depends on the course. For some courses in a school, for instance, grade might not be required, but for some courses like engineering or business, it might be mandatory, okay? I don't know if that answers your question. Can I know more about PAL? All right. So for the PAL, PAL stands for Provincial Attestation Letter. Provincial Attestation Letter is issued from the province to the institution, the DLI institution, that is Designated Learning Institutions, approved Designated Learning Institutions. This is so to actually curtail the number of students each province and then school gives admission. So for instance, if Ontario is giving 500 PALs, that is Provincial Attestation Letter, these 500 PALs in Ontario will be distributed to all DLI schools, meaning each schools might actually get 10, 10 or 5, 5. Now, admission might be given to over 20 students. So the first set of students that get offered and also pay their school fees get the PAL. That's one of the reasons why when you get offered, it is very good you pay your tuition. Otherwise, if there are no PALs for you, your application will move down to the next intake. There will be an automatic deferment to the next intake. They will tell you there is no seat for you, all right? How much should I budget for POF for visa application? Now for your POF, it comprises of your living expense and the balance of your tuition. So the living expense is 20,635 Canadian dollars. So if your school fees were 15,000 Canadian dollars, and then you were able to pay 5,000 or say 10,000 Canadian dollars. So you have to add the balance of your tuition, which is 5,000, to the living expense of 20,635 Canadian dollars, and that will give us a total sum of 25,635 Canadian dollars. And then we'll convert it to Naira using Oando. Whatever that gives you in million, it's your POF, and you need to have that amount of money for either 4 months or 6 months. 4 months is the minimum and 6 months is the maximum. I guess that answers your question, Damilola. All right. More questions, please. Okay, so in the absence of any other question, we are going to the next we're going to the next point here. Sorry. All right, so the next on my presentation list is the US versus Canada. So the US and Canada share things in common just the way they share boundary, okay? They are both from the North America, and then there are common similarities amongst them. Also, there are differences. And I know it is typical of a student to have this confusion in the sense that you wouldn't even know which country to pick. Like, I have lots of countries in my mind. I love the US. I also love Canada. But now I don't even know which has more advantage, and then which would actually befit my my predicament, or which will befit my qualifications, or what I actually want in future. Now, this is for you. If you've been finding it difficult on settling down on the actual country to pick between the US and Canada, then listen. These are the similarities, just the way they share borders. They also share interesting facts together. The US and Canada have high quality education, undisputed, okay? They both have good top-notch education, recognized institutions, recognized degrees. If you study in the US or Canada, you will be placed in a high rank amongst your peers that have the same degree with you, all right? There are a diverse range of universities and programs in these countries. For the US, there is the associate programs that you can do even before you go for your degree or master's, okay? For Canada, there is diploma and also graduate diploma and undergraduate diploma that you can actually go for before you go for your BSc or for your MSc, all right? These countries, both of them, have strong focus on research and innovation, and they offer lots of scholarships as well, okay? And then they have similar academic calendar ranging from the September, which is the fall intake. The January intake is known as the spring intake in the US, and then it is known as the it is known as the spring intake both in the US and Canada. And then we have the April intake, which is known as the summer intake. So for these two countries, they all have 3 intakes, although some schools do not really have 3 intakes. They have 1 or 2, generally September and January, while some have only September. But most schools would have these 3 intakes: the summer, the fall, and the spring intake. Also, they offer opportunities for internships and work experience. So when you attend a school in Canada, you might have the option of going for a co-op, which is a kind of internship. And then for the US, you might actually have the option of going for an optional practical training, which is done after you graduate, okay? These two countries allow dependents and kids. So for Canada, you're allowed to go with your dependents and your children. For the US, you're allowed to go with your dependents and your kids. In as much as these kids are between 5 and 18 years, they're allowed to school or to benefit from free education, all right? Having said these similarities, that doesn't mean there are no differences, okay? So while we have similarities between Canada and the US, there are discrepancies as well. Not far-fetched here. So the first difference in this country is language. Typically, the US speak predominantly English language, while Canada has both French and English as their official languages. Now for US, the official language, undisputed, is the English language. While for Canada, it can pass for either French or English, okay? And then for the tuition fees, you know, Canadian dollar, when you talk about the exchange rate, is lower than the US dollars. So it is quite lower, like the school fees or the tuition fee is lower in Canada than the US. For instance, if a school fee or a tuition fee in the US is 14,000 US dollar, and then we have 14,000 Canadian dollar, when you exchange both of them, you should also understand what I'm saying. So the tuition in Canada is always cheaper as compared to the US. Then for admission requirements, okay, different CGPA and standardized test score are required. Typical of the US to ask for SAT and ACT, okay? Why most schools in Canada will require for IELTS. That doesn't mean some schools do not require for GRE or GMAT. US does that, Canada does that, but most schools in the US will ask you for GRE, ACT, GMAT, or SAT. SAT is actually for undergraduate students, and these are basically for scholarship purposes most often, okay? US waive more of IELTS than Canada, okay? If a school says you have to provide IELTS in the US, and then you write to them with tangible reasons, it could be waived. But for Canada, schools that say you should provide IELTS rarely waive such, okay? Also, for schools in the US, they offer admission to students with HND more and students with third class or lower CGPAs. Canada rarely give offers to HND and then students with lower CGPA for master's degree, really. But for US, when you have HND, be it low or high CGPA, and then when you have 2.2, you have lots of schools that would actually admit you, okay? And US has more funding, like scholarship, than Canada. Here, some schools would even, many schools would award you scholarship as soon as you're given admission, even without applying. But if you want to go extensively to acquire a fully funded scholarship, you can also do that. It is typical of US to give out scholarship than Canada. So there are lots of fundings in the US than Canada. And then talking about visa requirements also. So for the visa requirements here, for Canada, you do not need any physical interview, okay? But for the US, for you to obtain your visa, you need to book an appointment and then go to the consulate or the embassy, either at Abuja or Lagos, okay, for that. And then finally, sorry, Evan, please take that back. For IOM, for you to make your application to, your visa application to Canada, you would first go for a medical test at the IOM, but for US, you do not need that. Cost of living in Canada is static. It is 20,635 Canadian dollar. While in US, it varies from school to school or from state to state. We do not have a standard, or we do not have a particular living expense when it comes to studying in the US. So a school can tell you their living expense is 12,000 Canadian dollars, while another school is 18,000 Canadian dollars, another is 15,000, another is 10,000. So a school decides the living expense, not the state, not the country itself. But for Canada, the country decides the what is it called here? Living expense, okay? And then for Canada, when you study master's after 1 year, you are eligible for 3 years postgraduate work permit. Why? If you study graduate certificate program or diploma, graduate diploma or undergraduate, you are eligible for 1 year postgraduate work permit, with which you can apply for your permanent residence either through provincial nominee program or through express entry. All right. So you can leave Canada or you apply for an extension through any of these. As soon as you get your permanent residency, the one they call the PR, you are allowed to stay. Why for Canada, for the US, you after graduation, you have to get a work experience, okay? From here, you apply for what is called an OPT, which stands for optional practical training. With this, you are given a work visa for 3 years. With this work visa of 1 to 3 years, you can actually apply for a green card through H-1B or EB-1 visa. So I wouldn't go into details, but you should actually know where you belong. H-1B visa is for either students who graduated from bachelor's degree or from master's degree. But now for EB-1 visa, that for students who did research programs or higher courses, you know. So you should know the one to apply for. But what I'm saying in essence is that when you graduate from school in the US, you do not necessarily have to leave the US. You have to actually apply for an optional practical training, which would allow you to stay in the US for 1 or 3 years. And then within this 1 to 3 years, you should be able to apply for your green card. All right. And finally, I want to also state that there are well-paid jobs in the US than Canada. All right. For Canada also, the Canada dependents are open for spousal open work permit, meaning you can work in Canada as your partner is studying. Why for the US, the partner isn't allowed to work, even if you're allowed to accompany your partner to the US, but you are not allowed to work, all right? Your children will study free of charge, but you're not allowed to work. You're only allowed to do voluntary jobs, okay? So having heard the differences and similarities between Canada and the US, I'm here now to attend to your question because I know you must have gotten the satisfaction you need from these countries. The differences have been outlined, the similarities have been stated. If you still have any confusion or you have more questions, you know, or more clarity, kindly ask your questions, please.
Okay, thank you so much for that presentation, Happiness. It was very, very insightful, and I'm sure that there were a lot of things that we took away from that. So we're actually running out of time now, so we might not be able to attend to any of the questions, but I'm just checking the chats to see that I think so far you've been able to cover all the questions that were asked. So we'll just have to wrap up now, but please do not hesitate to fill in the form that was sent on the chat if you have any questions. And if you want us to contact you immediately, please fill that form and we'll reach out to you as soon as possible. Thank you, Happiness, for that presentation. This was an amazing and insightful one. Someone says, hi, when will UK schools be analyzed like this? Oh my, so Nosa, you missed our second session because we went very in-depth into studying in the UK and the options, but not to worry. Once you fill that form, you'll be sent a recording of the session and you'll be able to watch it, and you can also feel free to contact us. Thank you, Happiness, for that. And yeah, that was much appreciated. So we'll be wrapping up now. Thank you, everyone. I want to start off by saying a very big thank you to everyone that joined this webinar.
Hello, Ebu. Please, there's a question. I might need you to attend to it. Check the chat.
Okay. I'm trying to see the question because so far I think Happiness has answered all these questions.
Okay, someone said she had a bad network. Rabiat Angela, you said you had
Okay.
network.
I don't know if you're not able to see the question. It says, hi, please, when will the UK school be analyzed like?
Okay.
Oh, yes, I've answered that. I answered that already.
Okay.
I said that he missed the session 2, but he doesn't have to worry because we're going to be sending the recording to him. So all he needs to do is to click on the link that we sent in the chat so that he can fill in his details and we'll reach out to him. So I think he's already doing that because I attended to that question. Okay, thank you for that. For Happiness, the other question, I think we'll have to attend to that much later because we're running out of time now. And you've also been able to address that there are options available for HND holders in Canada as well as in the US. So Rabiat, please fill the link and then we'll reach out to you. Thank you everyone for your questions. Thank you for your participation. This was very engaging, very insightful. Special shout outs to everyone that stayed from session 1, session 2, and session 3. It was amazing having you guys join us. Next steps are to stay glued to your emails because we're going to be sending you a recording, and we're also going to be sending more information on, everything that you need to know about studying in these destinations that we analyzed. So yes, Adamu, even if you join late, you will get the recording as long as you fill in your details on the form that was sent. So please just scroll up, you'll see a message from Nexi Concept Limited, and there's a link attached. So please, everyone, make sure that you fill your details on that form so that you can get the recording and so that we can reach out to you, okay? I'm going to be displaying our contact details now so that you can just have this down, but not to worry. Joseph, the form is in the chat, please. You see bit.ly/studyfair. So you can just fill that form and we will reach out to you. Okay, so if you want to contact us, these are our details. You don't have to be in any of these locations to reach out to us. You can give us a call and we'll do well to respond to you as soon as possible. All our phone lines are active, so you are able to contact us on WhatsApp, and you can also give us a call online. You can also see our email addresses below. So if you are in Nigeria, you can send us an email at enquiry@nexilimited.com. If you're in Ghana, you can send us an email at enquiry.gh@nexilimited.com. All our social media platforms are here displayed and they are very, very active. So shoot us a DM on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Nexi Limited for our Nigerian audience, Facebook, Nexi Concept Limited, and for our Ghana audience, please shoot us a DM on Instagram and TikTok, Nexi.Ghana, and on Twitter, Nexi Ghana. You can also reach out to us on Facebook at Nexi Ghana. Okay, so thank you to everyone that made this a date with us. We look forward to seeing you much more, and we will definitely stay in touch. Thank you, everyone. Please enjoy the rest of your evening and have a splendid weekend. Bye.